Hello and good day to all friends. I am Mojtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today is November 7th, 2025. I'm here with you to analyze Bitcoin using the Thales Market Screener tool. Please note that these analyses are for educational and informational purposes only, and if you use them to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss will be entirely yours. So, friends, as you can see, we've witnessed a downward movement in line with this bearish leg that we've drawn with this arrow. We were expecting an upward move, but it hasn't happened in that way yet. We had a small move upward, and then again, there was an attack toward the 100,000 level, which is also a strong support area. You can see we're seeing support here again, and there are still 3.5 hours left for the candle, so not much time has passed for this candle. But with the support we're seeing, maybe we'll head toward the scenario where we have a kind of double bottom here. If it manages to reach the 104 level, this double bottom will be complete. Now, the distance between these 2 points is very small, so we'll overlook it for now because it's really minor. In some other charts, this might actually be a very precise double bottom. If it reaches 104, the double bottom is complete, and then we can expect an upward move equal to the height of this pattern, which would take us toward 108 or 109. Previously, in earlier candles, we saw this double bottom pattern on this candle and this one. So, what happened then? It moved up almost by the same height. Now, let's switch to the 1-hour chart where this is more visible. It went up. The same thing could happen here too, but on a higher scale, in the 4-hour time frame. And right now, as we're on the 4-hour chart, you can see the divergence between the RSI and the price. Actually, to be precise, you can't see it exactly from here, but roughly from this point, we had a downward slope in price, while the RSI slope is upward. And now, you can see the momentum of this move is strong. It's showing itself with a lot of strength. We'll have to see how things develop. Let's move on to the market screener and see what the situation looks like for the start of today up to now and expiration date. November 8th, tomorrow, 5,371 bitcoins in the form of 2,219 options contracts. The outcome is visible on both sides, with a slight tilt to the upside. You can see there's a bit of an upward bias. If we turn on the delta and gamma here, it becomes clearer. Look, right now we're at a point where we've reached the bottom. The floor starts from 101,400 and goes up to the peak. Delta, meaning from where we are, increases as we go down, up to 98,000. Up to 98,000, delta is increasing, which means puts have been sold and the floor has been established. The average of these steps is here. The average is 99,700. The average is 100,000, which is basically the established floor. If 98 breaks, then to the downside, puts have been bought, and you can see their steps here at 93,000 and 94,000. But to the upside, we have stronger steps, which shows the intensity of call buying. From here upwards, calls have been bought, with the average at 105,000. As we said, the average of our call purchases is 105,000, and in this way, we could see an upward move if the expiration. If we add the 9th of November, you can see the bullish situation becomes even more apparent, with 2,500 bitcoins, again, more trades. Look, just for Sunday, the 9th of November, the situation is bullish. The average steps, in fact, for the money of these options contracts that have been bought, come to around 103, roughly, for Sunday. If we add Monday as well, along with Sunday, it's completely bullish. That means, if we keep Sunday and also consider Monday, it's fully bullish, 102, 600 and above, all in profit, all in profit. So, The trend is moving toward bullishness, apparently. If I remove the 8th expiration date, you can still see this bullishness. The gamma is at 104,000, the gamma of the call options is at 104,000, and a very broad range is seen as the floor, starting from 100,000. The bullish delta is accompanied by a price drop down to 90,000, based on what we're seeing here. If this momentum holds, it becomes significant, and we should give more weight to the possibility that this moves toward a double bottom and gets supported twice around the 100,000 level. That's a good sign, and you can see here as well that it's bullish. So, it seems like the market is recovering its momentum. Let's check the November 14th expiration as well. November 14th is next Friday. Again, look at the delta, see how sharply it has gone deep, accompanied by a price drop and a sharp increase in delta. This again shows the market and traders are trying to find a valid bottom, a base from which a rally can be built. Here, you see the average of the sold puts, their gamma is at 94,000, and we've come down to 98,900. If I move forward, you'll see it turn bullish. That means for November 14th, the recent contracts have also turned bullish. It came down a bit again, but the bullishness at the bottom, see, it's a put sale, meaning a put sale with a floor at 98,000. Now you could say the floor is between 98,000 and 92,000, 99,000, 100,000. These are the floors that have been identified. So, overall, you can interpret the current situation as bullish. Let's move on to drawing the zones and indicators. As you can see, the consensus points are at the top, actually at 103,500, and at the bottom at 98,400. Both are in loss, with the upper side being more in loss. This volatile situation honestly shows us that both zones are actually zones of disagreement. Many of these curves can't really be used in favor of one side. So, let's move on. It seems to me that, yeah, you really can't favor one side here. The downside is less at a loss, meaning with this information, we can say that a move toward 98,400 is more likely, considering the time we're doing this analysis. And well, a lot of time has passed, so maybe this move has already happened. We've come down to 99,300 here, so you could also interpret it as maybe this was the move downward we were expecting. Let's enter the points and continue with the indicator. So, you can see the curved lines, basically the indicator bands. As we approach the end of the week, you can see the bands are getting closer together, showing a decrease in the range of this volatility. Since 2 days ago, you can see the momentum of the lower lows has decreased, meaning the downward momentum has been dropping for 2 days. Yesterday, it was less than the day before, and today, as we're reviewing the predicted low for tomorrow, you can see it's gone up compared to yesterday's prediction. In fact, the low is increasing, and the momentum of the decrease in the highs has also weakened. And you can see that the downward momentum is decreasing. Okay, let's go for the zone updates and continue. As you can see, our upper zone is between 103,000 to 104,000. The lower zone is between 98,000 to 100,000, or 98,000 to 98,500. And the middle zone, well, it's basically no longer a zone, it's just a line at 101,000. You can see that the upper zone is actually wider. Maybe this wider range is a point to consider, giving a bit more priority to an upward move. Plus, in the upcoming expiries that we've checked, you saw that the outlook is turning bullish. So, maybe these indicator bands of ours, which are experiencing a bottom, their downward momentum is decreasing, and maybe this is our turning point. And as you saw from the analysis of the next expiries, the outlook is becoming bullish. Now, it's possible that we might come back and complete this double bottom more precisely, maybe down here to 99,000, but still, the upcoming expiries show a bullish outlook. That's how it seems based on the trades for the coming days. So, that's it for our zones. Let's move on to the delta and gamma that we looked at and analyzed, and let's see the delta and gamma on the chart. Yes, we have 3 gammas that we can actually plot on the chart. You see, we have a gamma right here, which is obvious with this. Those who found delta here, it's clear, this comes from selling calls and selling puts at 99,800. In fact, we have a short gamma, and the 99,800 maker has a long gamma, which in a way has also acted as support here. The price hit it and bounced back up. So, there's one here at 99,800, a long gamma for the taker, and for the maker, it's a short gamma, which is even stronger than the lower gamma. For the maker, the short gamma is at 100 and at 105,200, we have a short gamma. And then here, it's pretty much the same as our flash target, and we also have a short gamma just below, which will bring into plot that short gamma. Look, break time equals 0.5s/, it's at 93,400. So, there are still supporters on the downside too, meaning we can't say for sure just yet. I think the matter isn't settled yet. As we said, a price increase up to 104 to 154 can really help from here for this pattern, basically, for the double bottom pattern to complete, and then the bullish outlook will show itself more clearly. So, that's it for the gammas. We also reviewed the key points and the expiration dates coming up, which clearly show a tendency toward a price rise and a rebound. Let's take a look at the detailed trades. Delta has bought 3,246 Bitcoin for tomorrow out of a total of 5,454 Bitcoin. Out of that, 1,600 Bitcoin were call options and 1,644 Bitcoin were put options, almost equal, well, not exactly, but very close, maybe a difference of 10, 20, or 30 Bitcoin. Actually, the put purchases are a bit higher. And if we want to calculate for the past hour, actually, we need to go back 20 hours, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around here, on this candle, is when these trades came in. The movement we saw was downward, with a target of 9,300. So, it was mostly the puts that were realized. Where were the puts aiming for? The puts 99,300, they saw profit there, and we dropped to 99,272, so basically, given the time we're at, we can say it's been achieved. Although, when we say below 99,300, we really mean below 99,300. For example, 95 is also below 99,300, and in fact, the price could go down that far. But considering the bounce we're seeing here and the reaction we're observing, it seems like these targets have been met. Also, considering that there's a lot of put buying, look, we have 1,601 Bitcoin put options bought, so their power is significant. The bullish outlook is also very. And where do the call buyers want the price to go? Call buyers want the price above 102,400, 102,500, even higher, above 102,700. They want it above 102,700, which means this ceiling, this zone of ours. Right now, this is our wider zone. So, I think we can bet on the price moving toward this upper zone. Now, let's take a look at the sellers. There are 2,208 Bitcoin for sale, with 1,070 of them being call sales and 1,191 being put sales. There were more put sales. Where did they see the bottom? They saw the bottom at 99,700, which is really interesting. The put sellers had completely identified the bottom. You came down to 99,270, while they had already spotted the bottom around here. The bottom was realized, meaning those professional put sellers who wanted to enter the market with cash-secured puts came in here because they had seen the bottom here and were able to fill their orders and enter the market. So, their target was reached. Now, we can look at the call seller's target to see what it is and where it's at. The call selling target is about 100 to 102 or 102,200, so roughly up to here. Considering today is Friday and we're in the last hour of trading, the institutions are present in the market. Since it's the last hour, I'd say we'll probably see some volatility in this area until tomorrow. So, that's it for the sellers. Let's move on to the process database. I think the process database will have some good things for us tomorrow. Usually, since the trading volume is high, you can find interesting strategies for Saturday. The only thing is that we need to look at the open interest. If we look at the open interest, we might not need to change it, since we don't have much negative open interest and they're not that significant either. So, we won't touch the size. Let's move on to large trades. 10 Bitcoin, 20 is still a lot, 25 Bitcoin. As you can see, the overall shape of the curve is pretty much the same. It's a bit on both sides, but here, the downside has a bit more strength. So, let's continue. Let's make this clear so there's no room for doubt. Okay, 19 Bitcoin, sorry, I mean contracts above 25 Bitcoin. Look, we have a 300 Bitcoin position, which is actually a very large long call at 105. That's exactly the point I mentioned earlier, it's targeting this area. There's also a 150 gamma short on the long call at 105. Basically, this gamma short is really significant, and it's probably been influenced by that block trade of 300 Bitcoin. That's a huge volume. Basically, the other side of this trade is the market maker, as they say, and the counterparty here is probably the call seller. So, 300 Bitcoin, yeah, this is a legitimate trade. The strategy here is clear. This is also something that can give us a clue, because I think from this, yes. Purposefully for tomorrow, look, 98, around 98. When did this come in? This was entered at 12:30 today, 12:30 p.m. So, how far did we go? We went up to about 99.3 here, see, and now we're coming back down. That means this trade went into profit, got really close to its maximum profit, which was 97.7%. So, it might have been used up, meaning the trader's view might have played out, and we might not go back down again. Of course, it's possible we come back and touch this at the peak, because this strategy that's been taken, look, it targeted this point, 97.8. If the price goes much higher, this person goes into loss, meaning their profit decreases, and from 87,000, it turns into unlimited loss. So, this is really precise. Every strategy like this has a margin of error, naturally. This person can't say with certainty that the 97.796 they targeted here will definitely happen. We went up to 99.260, and I think the trader's view played out. We went toward it, and it seems we've pulled back. For now, I think we can stand by this idea. Okay, that's one. Here, there's another strategy. Yes, this is an interesting strategy. It's completely bullish. 75 Bitcoin, 75 Bitcoin. Look, it only starts making unlimited profit from 105. Actually, sorry, no, this isn't a strategy. The two block numbers are different. Yes, so we only have one strategy, the one we just analyzed. But these two trades together make an interesting combination. Both are bullish. One is a short call at 101, the other is a long call at 104, and when you combine them, you get this kind of setup. From 101,900, from 102 delta, we start, and with price increases, it can go up to 107. So again, here, we see a bullish outlook in these two trades. And here again, we see two block trades, two long puts of 25 Bitcoin each at 101, 101. When were they entered? At 7:46 this morning. So, this one has also played out. Its target was 101. We went to 101, even saw lower than that, and then came back up. So, it seems these have also been realized. Their outlooks have played out. Their outlooks have materialized. And, oh, this one now. These are very new. Look, these two, this is a strategy, this is a strategy, and the block numbers are the same. Yes, this is interesting. This is a long strangle, which is aiming for a price explosion and breakout above 106,000 from the top, and from below, it's hedging 93,000 to 94,000 to the downside. Right now, naturally, we've bounced from 98 to 99, found some support, and are moving upward. And it's for 600 Bitcoin, so it's quite significant. Actually, this is a blood-making strategy. You can't get out of this one. Decide for itself which side of the market to take, but this is notable for a system that we mentioned here for 105, which actually creates a bit of dominance. If we add up these Bitcoin systems, you'll see this side becomes dominant and gets stronger. So overall, it seems the outlook is still bullish. Over the past 24 hours, you can see that around 99,700 to 100,000, another liquidity pool is forming. Liquidity volume is high, but it's much higher above, while below, from 98,500 to 99,300, there's liquidity, then a gap, and again liquidity around 100,000. So, we might see another dip, but the amount of liquidity above, up to 105,000, seems much greater and could pull the price upward. Let's also look at the 48-hour chart. The 48-hour chart clearly shows that to the upside, up to 105, there's a dense, layered volume of liquidity stacked up, and the price starts to see liquidity above 101,600. Below the price, there's a bit of a gap down to 99,800, where we have some more liquidity. So, it seems we can consider the main direction of movement in the coming days to be upward. Look at this candle. It closed like a hammer, and if this candle maintains its momentum, that would be interesting. If, as we said, it moves up toward 104 and 105, it will create a kind of double bottom pattern, which could then continue the move higher. The RSI conditions have also been low enough, so the RSI can actually support this situation. Therefore, I think we can say that gradually, this area is kind of around the market bottom, a place where there's a pivot or a swing, and the price wants to move around here. These are exactly the kinds of spots that the big players use a lot for stop hunting. They move the price up and down so much, breaking the previous low, breaking the previous high, creating so much uncertainty, until after they've liquidated enough, then the price finds its direction. Because trends are always the clearest part of the market. When we're in a trend, well, everything is really clear in everything. The price's footprint is predictable, but when we get to turning points, or actually pivots, that's where the traps start. Most of the trap patterns, in fact, if you look closely at analytical systems like RTM, most of them are trap patterns that form at pivots, like QM even almost forms at pivots. That is, places where the price wants to create a swing, wants to turn and change the trend. It uses those trap patterns to hit as many stop losses as it can, and then does what it wants. So, we can focus on something like this. I'll stop here, of course, and others might have different opinions. We found support here, so let's aim for around 105. I think we can give some weight to this idea. Thanks for your attention. I hope it's been useful.